All right. All right. Hi guys, how are you? Good. I'm Jenna. I'm from SARC. I'm going to try not to walk around too much. And we're here to talk about time management today, so just making sure everybody's in the right place. Yes? Okay, good. Awesome. So I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about SARC, our office. Raise your hand if you've been to SARC or used any of SARC services. Okay, just a few of us, no problem. And for those of you who have used our services, or maybe those of you who have heard of us, do you know where we're located? Does anybody have any idea? Yes, Howard Phillips Hall. Does anybody happen to know the room number? Anyone want to take a guess? Somebody who's gotten it right on a guess before. It's on the first floor. There's a hint. Just throw a number out there. 102. Close. 115. Thank you. So yeah, we're in Howard Phillips Hall, room 113 is our administrative offices, 115 is our main tutoring lab. And does anybody know where Howard Phillips Hall is located? Isn't
it right by the student union, where first year advising is?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're in the same building as first year advising if you're familiar with their office. We're right by the reflection pond. So if you walk through the breezeway from here, it's going to be the first building right in front of you. It's a big brick building, and we're actually in the basement floor, so you go down a floor, just so you don't get mixed up if you ever try to visit us, okay? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our services. So for those of you who have raised your hand that you're familiar with SARC, what services have you used, or what services have you heard of? SI, okay, supplemental instruction. Anything else? Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of our most popular services, one of our biggest events. It's called Study Union. Is anybody familiar with that? Yeah, okay, so a few of us. For those of you who aren't, Study Union takes place in finals week during fall and spring semester, and we're here actually in the Student Union. The Student Union is open 24 hours, and then we host final exam review sessions throughout that week. So we'll release schedules, you know, about that a couple weeks before finals, and you can come in. They're usually like 2 hours long, and then go over like the whole semester worth of that subject, and it's just for subjects that we typically offer in our supplemental instruction and tutoring programs throughout the semester. Okay, so we'll be doing that this semester at the end of April. Anybody have any questions about that? That's a really awesome service and a really fun event, and then the union actually hosts different things, so they'll have like movie nights or yoga night or things like that, so definitely check it out once finals come. But some other services we offer throughout the semester are peer tutoring. That's our most popular service. We have 3 locations on campus for tutoring. Does anybody happen to know where they are? I kind of told you one. Our main SARC lab is in, our main tutoring lab is in the SARC office in Howard Phillips Hall, but there are 2 other ones. Do you guys know where those are? No? Well, one is in the College of Engineering and Computer Science, which is in Engineering Building 1. So that's where all of our engineering and computer science courses are tutored. So if you're just over there on that side of campus anyway, you just pop right into our tutoring lab there. And then the last one is in the Veterans Academic Resource Center, so it's right by the arena, by the Jimmy John's. You don't need to be a veteran to use our services there. We just typically offer courses that veterans historically struggle in, so we'll offer the tutoring over there for that. And then supplemental instruction, somebody mentioned. Have you guys heard of that one? Sometimes called SI. Yeah, so that's another service through SARC. It's similar to tutoring, except the tutors are called SI leaders, and if they have a partnership with your professor, they will actually attend the lectures and then host weekly review sessions throughout campus. So our schedules for all of these services are online and in our office, and then you can also access them through our Facebook if you're interested. We also have learning skills consultations. Has anybody heard of those? No, this one's kind of like a best kept secret. But it's a really awesome service. If you're interested in topics like we're going to talk about today, like time management, and we also have avoiding procrastination, reducing test-taking anxiety, and things like those. If you're interested and you need help in all of those, you could attend each workshop, or you could just schedule a 1-hour-long appointment, and you could talk about whatever you want in that 1-hour time frame. So you just schedule with one of us, the graduate assistants, and we'll sit down with you one-on-one and talk about whatever it is that you're concerned about relating to your academics. And to do that, you just call our office and make an appointment. We have some online services. So we have OPAL, which is online peer-assisted learning. So that's basically like virtual tutoring. We do have limited courses for that, but we do have our schedules online if you're ever interested and you just happen to not be on campus, or if anybody is tuning in from regional campuses, you can access those services. And then last but not least, academic success workshops. So like you're attending now, we have them every semester, and in summer they're usually over in housing. But you receive, I believe, 1,000 points link loot for attending each workshop if you're a freshman. Do you guys have any questions about SARC or what we do? No, you're just ready to get right into it? All right, well, let's do it. So I'm going to start off with a question. What do you think is the #1 reason why college students are placed on academic probation? 4? Who thinks 4? Yeah, okay. Probably a good answer, and it is the correct answer, yes. But do you see how the other 3 kind of tie into that as well? So the answer is poor time management, but let's see, partying. Partying is fine, I'm not saying don't party, but maybe if you have a test at 8 in the morning, don't party till 4 a.m. the night before, right? That's poor time management. Because that'll lead into maybe #2, not going to class. And then if you have an overcommitted schedule, so maybe if you work full-time and you're a student full-time and you're the president of a club or something like that, then that can sometimes hinder your time management as well. Okay? Anybody have any questions about that? Pretty straightforward. Some more questions for you. So what do you think are the most common goals and obstacles that students face during their first semester in college, or basically any semester in college? What do you think?
Goals are obviously passing classes,
Passing classes, yes. What else?
working too much.
Working too much? That's an obstacle, possibly?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else? Adjusting to college life? Yeah, exactly. Either from high school life or even a different university, or maybe you've been out of school for a while and you're coming back. There's a lot of adjusting to do, for sure. Let's hear at least one more. What do you guys think? A goal or an obstacle?
As a goal, to do well.
To do well, yeah. So maybe not just passing, but excelling. Sure, great. So now I want you guys to think about your personal goals and concerns. You don't need to necessarily share them, but I just want you to kind of have them in mind, because this will really give you something to think about and something to work towards when you're improving your time management. Because if you have no reason to change, then you're probably not going to change, right? So just take a minute to think about that, any personal goals or concerns you have going in to this semester. Is anybody in their first semester? Okay, a couple people. Anybody in their last semester? No? Okay, so we're kind of in the beginning, in the middle, maybe a little bit towards the end, but not quite out yet. Cool. So some common goals are to make new friends, continue to earn good grades, because obviously you've already received good grades and that's why you're here. Establish a direction for your lives. That's a pretty big one, pretty deep one. Connect to campus, so maybe either through a sorority or fraternity, clubs, even getting to know your professors or anything like that. And then to be unique. So we want to stand out. Sometimes we're in these classes of 300 plus students, and eventually we're going to need a lot of recommendations. So how do we make ourselves stand out, and how are we unique among everybody else that's here? 60,000 plus students, right? Some common obstacles, choice of major. So sometimes it's hard because we want to be able to find success and happiness, and then also happiness and success, right? Sometimes that's a really hard balance to find something that's going to make me money and a livelihood in the future, but then also something that we're going to enjoy. Family commitments, so possibly we still live with our family, so we have some commitments to them there, or we go and visit our family, every weekend if they live nearby, or if we need to take flights out for holidays or things like that. Sometimes that can kind of mess with our schedules. Personal issues, so if there's anything we're struggling with personally, that definitely takes a toll on our schedule and things come up, so we need to address those. Making sound decisions, so this kind of goes back to the partying and staying out till 4 a.m. and we have a test at 8, and we know we have a test at 8, but I'm just having too much fun, so we gotta learn how to make sound decisions. And then obviously a common obstacle for students is a lack of time management. So how do you think mastering time management will benefit you academically? How do you think mastering time management will improve your grades or help you just get through school more efficiently and effectively?
You'll be able to have time to study.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just making that time and having that time. Did you have something?
You'll be able to know how much time to dedicate to each class.
Mm-hmm.
And come up.
Perfect, yeah, so maybe some of you are here today because you feel like you're studying and you're studying a good amount. You feel like you're always studying, but then somehow it's not paying off. So maybe we're just focusing on the wrong classes. If you have a really easy class and a really hard class, maybe we're not balancing our time between those very well. Anything else you guys can think of? For sure, yeah. You know, when we don't have time management skills, that leads to procrastinating, which leads to cramming, which leads to really high levels of stress, right? So those are really good ones. Thanks, guys. So kind of like I was saying before, when you're thinking about this question, just think about for you personally and why you're here, besides just getting a form signed, if that's why you're here. And then so you can find a reason to change your habits, okay? So some things we did say, we gain time. It motivates and initiates us. So sometimes maybe you do have some methods of time management, maybe in your just personal life. So if you put something that you have to do later on, usually that day you're thinking, oh, I have to make sure that I do that. Or like it's even like the gym or something like that. Like I put it in my calendar, so I'm going to do it. So it motivates and then initiates because you already put it there, so that's why you're going to say you're going to do it. And then reduces procrastination, which leads to eliminating cramming, which leads to reducing anxiety and stress. Good. Does somebody want to read this out loud for me?
Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first hour sharpening an axe.
Yes, the first 4 sharpening the axe. Perfect. So what do you guys think is the significance of this quote? Okay, true. So in this situation, Abe only needs 2 hours to actually chop down the tree. So maybe the whole time isn't necessary. Okay. Is there something else? Yeah. Yes, so that is the key word here is preparation. Preparation is key. So when we manage our time, we're able to prepare because maybe we know when our test is and we know when we want to study, but there's so much work we need to do before, right? We need to make sure our notes are together. We need to read our textbooks. We need to find a good place to study. We need to make sure the chores are done or the kids are dropped off or whatever it is that we need to do, right? So preparation is key. Keep that in mind throughout this presentation. So now we're going to talk about the 3 rules for effective time management. The first one is priorities, or defining your priorities. So sometimes time management gets a bad rap, or it has a bad connotation for, you know, if I manage my time, I can't do anything fun. Does anybody feel that way? Basically, managing my time means I don't get to do anything I want to do, just what I need to do. And that's not really true. You just kind of manage your priorities and make sure you need to get your top priorities done. And then you can have time for other things, but if you manage your time well, you'll have plenty of time for those other things, right? So for this, you can use lists, even while you're just listening, if you want to think about what it is that your priorities are, or if you feel like you're really overwhelmed and you can't fit everything in, and that's why you're here, just like kind of jot those down. Like, what do I have to do? I have so much work to do, and I have to, take care of my mom, or I have to take care of my dog. I have school. I have all of these different things. So sometimes it gets really overwhelming. But when we put it on paper and really list out our priorities and put them in order, it's a little bit more manageable. Second one is don't create impossible situations. So this is kind of what I was saying earlier with the overcommitted schedule. So, coming into UCF, to college, sometimes we really just want to jump right in, right? We want to get really involved right away. We want to just get everything. We want to get that research experience. We want to do some volunteer work and all of these things. And they're really great, but sometimes we need to learn how to say no and make sure that we know what we're capable of. Especially sometimes walking through that breezeway, everybody's trying to get you to join their club or sports team or whatever it is, so sometimes you just need to learn how to say no. And if you guys work, be cautious about your hours. Maybe just realistically you need to work full-time and you want to go to school full-time, but just make sure that, you're balancing. So maybe if you're working full-time, maybe you can't take a full course load. Or if you are taking a full course load and you could afford to take less hours, maybe that's something you should consider. Use time to create success, not failure. So if all of a sudden maybe like a class is canceled or something like that and you got all this free time that just opened up, use that time. Sometimes we're like, oh, okay, great, now I can go binge watch my favorite show all night, right? So we have time, we want to use it to always create success and not failure. So take advantage of any time that you find that you have. Be realistic about school. That's kind of what I was saying about how many credits you're taking. You know yourself and you know what you can handle or not, but sometimes take things as hints. If you're just really overwhelmed and you find that you don't have enough time, maybe it's just the reality that you need to take less credits and less classes. Especially if you consider this. Have you guys heard of this before? For most classes, like a rule of thumb, you should plan to study or do homework for a minimum of 2 hours outside of class for every 1 credit hour in your schedule. Have you guys heard this? Anybody? A few of us? So just shout out like how many credits you're taking this semester. 15, 12? So that's like 24 to 30 hours a week of studying. Does that sound like a lot to you? Yeah. And then for STEM majors, is anybody a STEM major? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics? For you, the general rule of thumb is 3 hours for every credit hour. So that's a lot. And I don't want to scare you. That is a rule of thumb. So it's kind of generally a good place to start. And if you find that you need a little less or a little more, that's your schedule and that's your personal preference. But just keep that in mind. So if you're like, oh yeah, I'll take 16 credits or whatever it may be and think it's fine, just realize that that's quite a bit of studying that you still need to do outside of class. Okay? We'll talk about that again later as well. And then the next one is to avoid distractions. Find that this happens to you? Yeah, it happens to a lot of people. It happens to me too. So we just want to make sure that these things are kind of put away. And if we know ourselves, and if we're like, oh, I'm going to take a 15-minute break from studying, and then you go on Facebook, if you know you're just kind of like stay there for like an hour, then maybe that's something you don't want to do, right? And there are some really cool apps and things that you can use. I don't know if you've heard of them, but I don't remember the specific name, but there's one that like actually locks your phone, or you can lock like specific apps for a certain amount of time, so you can't even go into them until you set aside 2 hours or something like that to study. So you can look up those. On campus, there's Pocket Points. Have you guys heard of that one? Yeah, you like that one? Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Pocket Points is an app you can download, and it only works when you're on campus, but for like as long as you don't unlock your phone, you get more points for that. And then you can use those points for like things on campus, here in the union or around campus and things like that, like coupons and things. So it's very cool. It's motivating. Even if you kind of like look at your phone, it'll be like, you're earning points, and you'll just be like, okay, and just put it back down. I thought I could like work when I was at home, and I thought I was gonna like rack up points when I was sleeping, but that didn't work out. So it's only on campus, and I think like it was made so that you focus in class. So you can even put it on when you're in class, don't look at your phone, and you're just like earning points right there and saving some money. In the video, something he did was he kept saying like, oh, I should clean my room, or I should look at Facebook, like just things that you think of when you sit down to study. Do you guys ever feel that? Yeah. Like you never really want to clean your room, and then all of a sudden you sit down to study and you just have this sudden urge, right? Or like, I should really, call my great-grandma. I haven't talked to her in a while. Like there's so many things that you just rather do, so they pop into your mind. And sometimes they're legitimate things, like, oh, I need to really do laundry, or I really need to pack for my trip next week, or something like that. So they're on your mind, and they're really distracting. So what you can do is you can keep a distractions list. So you can kind of keep it to the side, just like a piece of paper or a note on your phone, and just write them down. Because it actually does like get it off your mind and onto the piece of paper, so you feel like, okay, I've taken care of that for now, and now I can concentrate. And then I bet you once you're done studying and you look back at that list, you're like, oh, I don't need to do any of those things right now, right? So it's just a little tip. So now we're going to go into some time management techniques. So I have 3 for you today. There's the 3-list method for back planning, semester at a glance, and an 8-hour daily schedule. So these are very different. We're going to walk through all of them, and you can see what you prefer, okay? So the first one we're going to go over is the 3-list method for back planning. I'm going to pass around a worksheet for you. So I'll take 2 up here. Just take one and pass it down. Thank you. There you go. I might be a couple short, but the good thing is that with these handouts, you can do them just on a piece of paper. They're very simple. We just kind of give you a nice template to use. So with this technique, we're going to make 3 to-do lists, basically. So we're going to start with our long-term goals, our semester goals, and then we're going to move down in what we need to do on a weekly basis to accomplish those goals, and then what we would need to do on a daily basis to accomplish our weekly goals, which will accomplish our long-term goals, okay? So before we get started, let's just talk about goals in general. So you guys, have you heard about this, SMART goals? Yeah. So I'm just going to go over them really quickly so we can keep them in mind when we go into our activity and start writing down goals, okay? And like I said, if you didn't get one, I'll show it on the worksheet on the next slide, and it's really easy to just write on a piece of paper. So first we want to make sure they're specific, so we want to include tasks or specific details about the tasks. Does anybody want to just throw out like an example goal? It could be like a daily, weekly, or long-term goal. Anything. Doesn't need to be your personal goal, just a goal that somebody might have. Get straight A's, perfect. Okay, so details about the task. Do you think that's pretty specific? Straight A's, that means all of my classes I'm getting A's, right? Check. Measurable, must have specific criteria that tells you when a goal has been achieved. Is that one measurable? Yeah. No? What would make it more measurable, you think? Okay. Yeah. So maybe that's good though. So maybe like at one point I did have straight A's, and then I was like, yeah, I have straight A's, and then I kind of slacked, and then by the time the semester ended, I didn't. Right. So that's good if you want to put. That's kind of the last one. So a time like by the end of the semester in all my classes, I want straight A's. Perfect. So just making it even more measurable. Action driven. So I know sometimes there's a variation on SMART goals, and some of us have heard of SMART goals. And I know that A sometimes is like achievable or attainable, but I like this one, action driven. Has anybody else heard of this one? Yeah, a couple of us. So this one I like because it means that it should be based on your actions, not the actions of others. So sometimes, let's say my example goal was to get my professor to respect me. So that puts all the responsibility on who? The professor. Yeah, I want, like, my goal is to change his or her actions, right? I want them to respect me. But instead, if I wanted to make it an action-driven goal, I could say, my goal is to attend office hours at least 3 times a month in order to build a relationship with the professor, or something like that. Or participate in class at least once every class to gain the recognition of the professor, or something like that, okay? So just make sure it's something that you're doing. Sometimes it's obvious, I mean, nobody else is going to get straight A's for you, but sometimes it's not, so you just kind of want to include that as well. Realistic, so there are reasonable odds that you will achieve the goal. If I'm taking like the toughest course load of my semester, maybe straight A's isn't realistic, and maybe that's okay, but just, you know, keep those things in mind. And then timely, like we talked about, there's a set and realistic deadline. So we're going to kind of do 3 different groups of goals. One, like I said, is long-term, one's weekly, and one's daily. So then it kind of takes care of that for you. So now if you want to pull out your handout, we're going to start with step 1, which is defining our long-term goals or projects. So like I said, this can be over the next semester, or this could be like for the rest of your life, you know, whatever your long-term goals are. And then just list, you know, like about 2 or 3 if you can, and make sure that they're SMART goals. And if you're struggling, just let me know. We can work it out together. A freebie is graduate. It's a good one. Graduate with a 3.0, 4.0, if you want to make it a little bit more specific. Once you've jotted down a couple of long-term goals, then you can go into your weekly goals. So my example here for my long-term is make the president's list, which I believe is like straight A's, right? Is it the president's list? Okay, I used to call it the dean's list and I was corrected, so I'm just making sure it is correct. So we want to make the president's list. So maybe on a weekly basis, what I can do on a weekly basis to be working towards that goal is, you know, get A's on my exams. So maybe my weekly task list is this week I want to get an A on my Bio 1 exam. So you guys see how that works? Just what do you do on a weekly basis to kind of achieve those goals that you already wrote down? All right, and then once you've done that, we're going to go into step 3, which is we're going to allocate time throughout the week. So what do you need to do, on a daily basis, there you go, to achieve those weekly goals, which will in turn achieve your long-term goals. So maybe for me to get an A on my Bio 1 exam, I need to go to 3 study groups this week or something like that. And then you have multiple goals. If you put multiple ones in step 1 and 2, then put all of them throughout your week in step 3 there. Okay, you guys all about done with this one? If not, you can keep working, but the reason I like this one is it really keeps your long-term goals in the back of your mind. You know, it's kind of telling you why you're putting aside time this week to do a study group that maybe you don't really want to do. And it's so that you can get good grades, so that you can get into medical school or graduate with that 3.0 or whatever it is that your goals are, right? So it gives you a reason of why you're doing what you're doing. Did anybody like this one? Do you think it helped or gave you a new perspective or anything like that? Good. So this you can also keep in mind when we're working on the other ones, because you know we always kind of want your goals in mind. But our next one, if maybe you weren't a big fan of that one, we do have other options. And the next one is a semester at a glance. So this one typically is favored by those who already have, you know, decent time management, and they just need like a small reminder of what they have going throughout the semester. So on this one, it's literally the whole semester on one piece of paper, so that if you just know that there's a couple of things, or I guess, you know, several things throughout the semester that you need to get done or you need to prepare for, then you could put it on there so you see exactly your whole semester, what you have going on. So, you know, it's obviously small, so we're not going to be able to put everything detailed, but if you just kind of want to make a key, like star means test or circle means quiz or whatever, like something like that, sometimes that's all people really need. So this is a good thing to just keep up, you know, by your desk or whatever it is, just to see what you have going on. Like, okay, do I have like a couple days to relax after my test, or do I need to go right into studying for my next one, you know? Does anybody want any extras of these? I have a lot. Yeah? Sometimes if you want to put them in more than one place, or if you have a friend that you think might benefit from it. Anybody else? Yeah. Who likes this one? Who thinks this will work for them? By show of hands. Anybody? Yeah, a few of us? Good. Anybody else? One extra? Yeah. Just a side note as well, if you know, this was really helpful for you and you want to use it in future semesters, every semester on our website we actually post them. So obviously, you know, next semester we'll have summer 2016 and then fall 2016 and then so on. So you can definitely check that out. Anybody else want extras? Yeah. There you go. And if you just kind of want to make a note on where on the website to find it, our website is sarc.sdes.ucf.edu, or you can just Google SARC UCF and it'll be the first thing that pops up. And it's under Resources, SARC Online, Learning Skills Resources, Time Management, and then it's Semester at a Glance, and then whatever semester it is, okay? So that's all really I have to say about this one, really. Like I said, it's really helpful if you just kind of put it up in a place that you see every day, so you kind of always have on your mind what's coming up through the rest of the semester, so nothing catches you off guard. Because some of us run into this problem. We'll have, you know, like a weekly planner, where it's just kind of, you open it up and it's 1 week. So we're like, okay, I got everything done for the week, perfect. and then you flip the page and you're like, oh my God, there's so much stuff due on Monday and I didn't really even think to look. Does that happen to anybody? Sometimes, yeah. So sometimes that's why this comes in handy, even if you just want it in addition to whatever other time management technique you like to use. The next one, and the last one, is kind of the exact opposite. So the other one was like really zoomed out, right? And we're just going to look at the big picture of what's due this semester. This one we're really zooming in and we're looking at everything that we do on a daily basis. So this one is kind of focused on the 8-hour daily schedule that you might face outside of college, so like the typical 9 to 5. And you'll find that you kind of already have that kind of schedule now. That might seem very far away and I don't have that much to do, but sometimes you'll find we already do. I kind of just split those up, so if there's any extra, just pass them back. Good? If there's any extra, you can just leave them on the table when you leave. So with this one, the idea is you're already in class at least 2 or 3 hours a day, and maybe you have labs, and then you're going to study, like we said, approximately 2 hours outside of class for every credit hour you're enrolled in, and maybe you work part-time, maybe you're on a sports team, maybe you have socials you need to go to. So there's a lot of things you do, so you don't maybe realize how busy you really are. So we're going to walk through this together. The first page is kind of just directions, but I'm going to walk you through it so you can skip that, and you can go to the next page. And there you'll find it's a weekly schedule, literally your entire week. It's Sunday to Saturday, maybe it's just Monday to Sunday, and then 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. So that's your exact, whole week laid out in front of you. And then there's actually a second page too, so if you ever want to use that for a different semester, or if you mess up, or you just want to make it pretty later, you have an extra copy there for you as well. So the first thing I want you to do is block off your class time, similarly that like I have above here. So just block off all the times you're in class, because when you're in class, you can't do anything else. And you can color code them if you'd like, and if you have different colors available to you. Yes. Yes. So it's in the same place as where the semester at a glance is. So if you just look, if you just Google SARC UCF on our websites, resources, and SARC Online. So on that portal, we actually have learning skills resources where you can find things like this, like for time management, textbook reading, concentration skills, or anything like that. And then we also have course-specific resources. So we'll have like some past reviews from, like Orgo 1 or whatever it may be. So if you want to check out that, that would be helpful too. And also, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but we do have a camera in the back because we are live streaming to anybody who wants to watch remotely. So for those of you who are watching off campus, all of the handouts that I've passed out are linked in the description on YouTube. And then if you guys want to watch this later, it'll be recorded and it's on our YouTube channel. So just same thing, SARC UCF on YouTube, or there's a link on our website. So after you finish that, and if you have a job, just go ahead and put your schedule in. If you have the same schedule every week, then go ahead and put that in. If you don't, then you can put either, what you know, so either this week or next week, whatever it is that you're aware of. And in this, you can include anything that maybe you do in place of a job or in addition to a job on a weekly basis, like maybe volunteer work or anything like that. This can also help too if you don't currently have a job. Sometimes students that come in for learning skills consultations and things like that, they're like, I'm thinking about getting a job, but I don't really know if I have time. So maybe after you make the schedule, if you're in that boat, you can find out exactly how much time you do have. Okay. After that, we want to schedule in our food, our meal times, which might seem a little ridiculous to some of us, but we do this for several reasons. Does anybody have an idea of why? Forget to eat, yeah, exactly. That's one of them. Anybody think of another one? Maybe the opposite. Oh, we eat, but we like spend like an hour doing it, right? I'm gonna put on a TV, and then while I eat, I'm done eating, but I'm still watching TV, right? Or for those of us who maybe like cook dinner or do a meal prep on Sunday or something like that, sometimes that can take a chunk of time. You need about 2 hours to do that. So we want to make sure that you do have that time. That's a priority to you to be able to cook your own dinner. So I only have food twice a day, Monday through Friday, but please eat 3 meals a day. This is just for the sake of the example. And then maybe you can do something while you're eating if you know you need to. So like I'll eat and I'll take a look at my flashcards at the beginning of the week or something like that. So just to recap, the reason that we're scheduling our food is maybe some of us forget to eat, so we don't want to kind of forget that and schedule everything back to back, like your work and your classes and your study time and everything else, and then once you are actually carrying out the schedule, you're like, oh, I'm hungry, so I can't focus on anything, right? So I want to make sure that you get your meals in and don't forget to eat, but then also keep it limited to maybe like 30 minutes, 45 minutes if you need to, if you have a lot of other things to do. And then save that time in the evening if you know that you like to cook a nice dinner and sit down and relax and eat it, or whatever it may be, okay? And then now, let's take a second and just put anything that maybe I didn't mention that's very important to you to do on a weekly basis that comes before anything else. So maybe, you need to go to the gym just for your personal wellness or self-care, and that's something that's very important to you. So just go ahead and schedule that now. Or if you have any family commitments or anything like that, that comes next. So just take a minute to put that in. Maybe you go to a place of worship or anything like that. Okay, now at this point, you should get a good look at like how much space you have. So either you have like a good amount, or maybe you're like, oh, I'm kind of running low on space, or somewhere in between. So that space is basically your free time as of right now, and then we're going to fill that with studying. So you can keep that number in mind that we had before, that 2 times however many credit hours you're taking, or 3 times however many credit hours if you're a STEM major, and now we're going to fit it into that space. So we're going to fill in our homework and study time. So I want to go ahead and schedule that out, and then I'd also like you to put what class you're going to be studying for at that time. And things like, office hours, study group, homework, SARC tutoring, SARC SI, those do count towards those hours. Math lab, anything like that. And then maybe sometimes if you're struggling to fit in all those hours, you might need to do something like wake up a little earlier, study more on the weekends, reduce your hours at work, any of those things. And I like you to put what subject you're going to be studying for in each one of those blocks, because sometimes we just put study, then by the time that time hits, okay, I said I was going to study at 2 p.m. for 2 hours, so I sit down and I'm like, so what am I studying? And you have to figure out what you have due and what assignments you need to do and things like that. So it's good to just have a good idea of what class you want to study for at that time, so you know what you're doing. And sometimes people like to either study for the subject right before the class or right after the class while it's fresh in their mind. So if you have any preferences, you can make those changes. And then while we're talking about this, where do you guys typically study? Have you found a good spot that you usually go to? Or if it's not working for you either way, what spot do you usually go to study? Library, okay. Anybody else have a different one? Sorority house, okay. Anything else? Does anybody study in their bed? Yeah. Sometimes that doesn't work. I mean, it could work for you, but if you find that it's not working for you, a good thing to do is find a study place where all you do there is study, because your brain will literally just be like, okay, I know what we're doing here, I'm automatically in the zone. But if you study at the bed or the kitchen table, your brain is like, sometimes I study here, sometimes I sleep here, I'm not really sure which one I'm doing right now, so let's go with sleep, right? Or let's go with, I'm at the kitchen table, sometimes I eat here, so yeah, I guess I'm feeling kind of hungry, and then you do that instead. But if you find, like if you work at a certain place, all you do there is work, really. So you go in and you clock in, you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. So just kind of want to keep it consistent. So like if all you do at the library is study, perfect place. If all you do in that specific area of the sorority house is study, perfect. Just another thing to keep in mind. Is anybody having trouble fitting in all their hours in their calendar, or is it okay for now? Yeah. Is anybody looking at the schedule they have in front of them and saying, like, this is a lot? Yeah? So sometimes, like I said, you might need to fluctuate things a little bit, take into consideration what your priorities are. Maybe wake up a little earlier, but still get your 7.5 hours or whatever it is that's required. So if you have any space left over, then this is where you can put the other things. So maybe if workout isn't a huge priority to you, that can come next. Or your clubs and your sports teams, those do come after your school, unfortunately, so then that's where they'll go. Or any socializing event, football game, anything like that, that can go in now, after you got everything else out of the way. Like we said, priorities, right? And then, this is like an extra step above and beyond, scheduling your computer and TV time. So we do this kind of the same reason we do the food, right? So it could be because you have so much going on that you don't really take time to relax. So maybe you're like, you know what, I'm going to stop studying at 7. I know my brain just is not going to understand anything past 7. So then at that time, I'm going to allow myself a couple hours to just unwind if I got everything done, right? Or opposite, if you usually do that, but then you let it go till 2 a.m., so you want to put a cap at it at 11, for example, okay? And that's a pretty full-looking week, right? Yeah. You don't have a 9-to-5 job, but you basically have a 9-to-5 life. Maybe you do have a 9-to-5 job and you go to school. So who liked this technique? Does this one think you're going to work? Sometimes if we're kind of starting from scratch and we don't really have any kind of method that works for us right now, kind of really going hour by hour helps. And what I like, if you really like using your phone or things like that, is just put this schedule right into your phone if you're not so much a paper pencil person. Because then what's good about that is you can edit it. So each week, maybe you want to make your tasks more specific, like study chapter 12 for math test on Wednesday and things like that. So you can go in there and just replace whatever class you have with whatever you're going to do specifically for that class. Or if something comes up, so I'm talking about time management and how you need to stick to the schedule, but if you're sick and you need to go to the doctor, go to the doctor. But if you at that time you would have been reviewing your homework, then just make sure that you get that done just at a later time, maybe in lieu of your computer time that you had saved. So the phone just makes it really easy to kind of like move those around to make sure you still do them. I'm not saying move them and move them and move them and move them and procrastinate, but just if you need to be a little bit more flexible. So who liked the semester at a glance the best? Yeah, a couple of us. And then who liked the back planning one the best, the first one we did? Yeah. So just kind of 3 different variations, that like I said earlier, and like you may have noticed, they're very different, but they kind of tailor to whatever your style you like or whatever time management style you have. So just to recap, successful time management involves knowing what your goals are, deciding priorities within those goals, anticipating future needs and changes, like we talked about if things come up, committing to punctuality and timeliness. So we made the schedule and that's all well and good, but if you don't follow it, then it doesn't really mean much, right? So you have to carry out the plan you make and recognize that you are in control. So if you're having trouble with this, don't forget there are a lot of people on campus that are here to help you, such as professors, advisors. We have the Office of Student Financial Assistance, Career Services, the Counseling Center for any personal issues we may have touched on earlier, Student Academic Resource Center, of course. A Fellow Night or the UCF website is a great resource. So that's all for me, but don't leave quite yet because I do have evaluations for you to fill out for me, please. And at this time, I can take any questions, or if you do have forms that you need me to sign off on, just do me a favor and complete as much information as you can from up here so that all I need to do is sign it for you, okay? Should be enough. And then when you're done with these, you can either turn them in to me or just drop them off on your desk and I'll take them on the way out. If you came here to fulfill a requirement and you don't have a form for me to sign, there's a kind of a blank there for you to put anybody who needs to know that you were here, and we'll email them, but put their email address if you have it, please, so we can make sure it gets to the right person. Does anybody need any more or have any extras? All good? And then, like I said, when you're all finished with the evaluation, you can turn it in or leave it at your desk, and then you're free to head out. And I just want to leave you with this quote. The bad news is time flies, but the good news is that you are the pilot, okay? Thanks for coming, guys. Yes. Oh, you have a sign? Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm
That's
borrowing
okay.
her pen. No.
Oh, okay.